And then 3, overall outlook.
Yeah.
Where are they headed?
What's the potential trajectory of the company, both in terms of their technology and their stock?
Exactly. All right, so let's jump right in. Let's talk about the financials first. So from what we could find, we don't have a ton of super specific revenue numbers for the fourth quarter.
Yeah, it's a little sparse on the details for Q4.
Right. And that kind of makes sense, right? Because they're still in that early stage. They're
Yeah.
still doing R&D. They're not selling 1 million widgets a day or anything like that.
Exactly. They're very much still in that research and development and commercialization phase.
Right.
Laying the groundwork for hopefully future sales.
Yeah.
Broader adoption of the technology.
So very early revenue, maybe even pre-revenue is what we're thinking here.
Yeah, it's hard to say for sure with the limited info, but that seems to be the picture.
Right.
It's pretty typical for companies in this, cutting edge space.
Yeah.
They're making these big investments right now in the technology and getting it all set up for the future.
Okay. But we do have some numbers from a little earlier in the year.
Right.
So what was their loss in Q3 of 2024?
So they reported a loss of around $4.29 million for Q3 2024.
Okay.
And that's kind of a key figure to keep in mind as we look at the bigger picture.
Okay. And then so looking at the entire year, the full 2024.
Right.
It seems like it's probably a lot more than what they reported in 2023.
Yeah, that's a safe bet.
Their quarterly loss back in 2023 was something like $650,000.
Right.
So I imagine, just looking at that Q3 number, I imagine the total for 2024 has got to be way higher than that, right?
Yeah, I think most people are anticipating a significant jump in their overall loss for 2024.
Okay.
Could easily be more than 10 million even.
Okay, and that makes sense though, right? They're doing a lot of stuff they had the merger and
right.
then
So they're doing a lot of R&D.
The ongoing R&D, operational costs. Yeah.
So, not super surprising to see those numbers, but it is something to keep in mind.
Of course, investors will be keeping a close eye on how those losses are managed.
Right. And then the big question, of course, is how long can they keep this up, right?
Exactly.
How long can they keep spending money before they need to go get more money? Right. The cash runway question, that's always key for companies in this stage.
Exactly. But there is some good news on that front, right?
There is.
What happened in February?
Right. So back in February of 2025, Firefly managed to raise a pretty hefty sum, $8.8 million.
Oh, wow.
Through something called warrant exercises.
Okay. And for those of us who aren't, high finance people, what's a warrant exercise?
So think of a warrant as kind of an option, right?
Okay.
It gives somebody the right to buy shares at a certain price in the future.
Okay.
And when those warrants are exercised,